Good evening, everyone. My name is Tiana Tran. I'm the veteran staff member of GovReports here. And yes, I do answer support calls if in case you say that voice is or sounds familiar. I'd like to welcome and thank you for your attendance for tonight's webinar sessions, which we will be talking about generally about GovReports service, process, workflow for tax and BAS agents. Presenting today's webinar session is Deborah Thompson, a registered BAS agent. She owns her own bookkeeping practice, a regular presenter of ICB technical sessions, and of course GovReports webinar as well. Deb will show you through some of the main features and services in GovReports and how you can make the most of it in your practice. Before I hand over the control to Deb, a little bit of housekeeping. Please raise your hand if you can hear me. Good, thanks Sarah. Okay, it doesn't sound like many people can hear me. Thanks Tonya, thanks Patricia. Okay, thank you. So everyone can hear me. Great. This session will be recorded and will be posted on our website hopefully by tomorrow. So if you miss a little bit here and there, you can always revisit the sessions at your convenience. During the sessions, if you have questions, please don't hesitate to send it through so we can come back to it during the questions time. Okay, so I will now hand over to Deb. Thanks, Deb.
Well, thank you, Tiana. Good evening, everybody. We have got a picture of the two of us so you know who is speaking. So thanks, Tiana, for letting me do this. I've been using GovReports, I think it's over 5 years now, maybe, I don't know. But
you're kidding? Since 2012.
Oh, there you go. It's not good. It's not good if I can't count and I'm a BAS agent. But thank you, Tiana, for telling me that. But the things we're going to have a look at today is we're going to have a look at the overall system and how it works. And the reason that I thought of doing this really was because I often find that when I use software and when I use it a lot, I may get sort of stuck in a groove and only use one or two things. And I don't always notice the new things that have come on board and that are able for us to use and make my life easier. So what I really wanted to do to start with is basically going to run you through all the different areas of GovReports that are available. And then we're going to have a look at the new features that have been coming on board, I suppose, for the last 6 months. And maybe you have noticed them and maybe you haven't realized that they are there to help you. So that's what we're going to do. So, of course, GovReports is the complete agents platform. And I hope, as I am a BAS agent, I'm not sure that I necessarily got all the technology correct for any accountant out there. But the guys, of course, at GovReports can inform you if I haven't included something that's important to you. So income tax, activity statements, TFN declarations, TPAR, single touch payroll. And I think they've done an absolutely brilliant job with single touch payroll and, of course, payroll tax. And I think there's a few, I'm sure there's other things that I have missed. But do, talk to GovReports if there is something there that I haven't mentioned that GovReports is able to do. So the first thing, of course, when you look at GovReports is you come to the dashboard. And it is a place that, I spend quite a bit of time, and there can be so much information on that dashboard available for you. It is all customizable, which is really great. Oh, whoops, what happened then? I lost something. It's all customizable, is what I was saying, and you're able to have information on there that's going to be relevant and useful to you. For example, I am in a single practitioner practice, so I don't usually have my name on my dashboard, but it's very useful if you are in a multi-person practice to be able to have that, so that if you are perhaps going from different machines, that you do, know whose machine that you're using and whose GovReports access that you're able to use. So the bird's eye view is what always brings you back to your dashboard. So on the left-hand side, we have that menu bar that can be seen all the time, and you just need to click on the bird's eye view and of course bring you back. And as I said, this is all customizable and able to bring you back. That's what I was expecting to see before. So that's the little customizable button for you to change, to move all of these screens that are on the dashboard there around to suit you. So then going down that sidebar further on, the next thing is my clients. And of course, as an income tax, doing income tax returns, GovReports classifies clients into two types. So there's the individual, so an individual taxpayer, which obviously includes the sole traders, and then a non-individual taxpayer entity, so that is other than the sole traders. Now, there are some rules, of course, relating to your clients, and again, if you've been using GovReports for a while, then you probably know all these, but just to remind you that individual, obviously you've got to have the tax file number. BAS lodgements, you're going to have your ABN and your entity's name. For PAYG annual reports, you're going to need TPAR and tax returns and addresses and tax file numbers are required to do that. And also, if you are doing income tax returns, then you're obviously going to need the client's banking details for refunds and deductions. So when you look at the My Clients, you can manage all that information about all of your clients, and you of course can add clients and edit clients. And now you're also able to adding new clients. So again, you can do it manually, but you can import them into the software from the ATO. So I think that's really great. You can download them from the ATO if you've already got that information there and upload them into GovReports. And you can do them in the CSV or the XML format. Again, what's going to be, most useful for you? I really like the flexibility that we have with GovReports. So then if you want to access that information to import them into your clients, there's 3 different ways of you being able to do that. You can first of all search for a client there. You can go into the client and click on the their name, or then you can go into the My Clients, open up the client, and then go to the Action button, which is the other end of the screen on the right-hand side, and go to Open, and Forms are there to import that information. When you open a client, you have a lot of services that you're able to look at. And again, I do believe, and Sandeep and Tiana can correct me if I'm wrong, that I do believe what you see as all the different headings does depend on what your access level is to the software, if you're a BAS agent as opposed to a tax agent. So for example, just to give you that, that's why I had those 2 clients there, so that you could see there are different headings, and obviously that information that you're going to be looking at can be slightly different. You can look at your work in progress. If you're setting up jobs and tasks for the client, then you can look at that work in progress and see how far along you are. You've obviously been able to look at all of the lodged documents, all of the documents in draft, and you can get a lot of information about the ATO from there, which we will be talking a bit more about. So please, I do encourage you to click on a few things and have a look and get used to especially when it's your own clients. You probably, a lot of that information will mean more to you as you look at the different headings. Then we've got the next one on our list, on our left-hand list, we've got authorised users. Who have you authorised in the software to be able to use it, and have they got, certain clients? What is the information about them? So you're able to have a look at active users, inactive users, archived users. So you can see all of those that have been through your practice, and you can add them and deactivate them, of course, and archive them. So that's where you would go and look at all the people that you have given access into the software. Then the next one on the sidebar is My Lodgements. And of course, My Lodgements is a place we're going to be there a lot. We're going to look at a lot of this information. And again, I'm not very sure, and Sandeep can tell me if I'm correct. I'm assuming that you have perhaps another couple of areas if you're a tax agent rather than just a BAS agent. Sandeep, is that true?
I'll answer for Sandeep. Sorry, it's Tiana. I'll pretend to be Sandeep. For the tax agents, there will be, yes, more functionality. You would have EFT reconciliation statements access for My Lodgements, and perhaps a few other options. But it's pretty much very similar, just a few additional information that you will have access to as well.
Thanks, Tiana. So this is the place where I spend a lot of my time when I am looking at information. I'm having a look, especially when I'm saving BASs, then I'm sending them to my client for authorisation, and when I get that authorisation back, I'm going in there to actually lodge them. The BAS payment options is one that I think is a great idea, because yes, when we send our clients that this, the BAS has been lodged, the BAS payment option is attached to it. But I don't know about you, but I have clients who still go, how do I pay my BAS? And so it's really handy to be able to come there and find the client and send that, again, email that to my clients and say, this is your choices on how you pay your BAS. Then, of course, you've got your historic lodgements. You've got employer and contractor reports. So again, for payment summaries and contractor reports are available there. And then the most wonderful one, of course, is the outstanding reports, where you can have a look at your list of your clients and all of the outstanding reports that are there for them. That is a wonderful thing, to be able to have all of this information in the one software and go. And it doesn't matter what accounting software the clients use, you've got all of this information in one place, and you're only having to look in one place. So the next thing there from My Lodgements is we have My Practice. So this is for office practice management, for you to be able to manage your team, to create jobs and tasks and allocate it to staff, and again, look at their workflow, see what's being done. Has invoicing been done to your clients, so that, if jobs have been finished and been authorised, that you then, of course, get paid, because we all want to be paid. Obviously, it's also looking at better management of reports. So the My Practice has quite a few parts of that. So it has the jobs, the scheduled jobs, your tasks list, your templates, and your job summary. So this is a great way to create that practice management. What sort of jobs do you do? What sort of areas? And it can be as simple as a title that says do a BAS, or BAS lodgement, or it can be way more complex, which is of course what the job entails, in that receive the information from the client, obviously complete the draft BAS, send for authorization to the client, receive it back and lodge it. So you can have the tasks and templates as simple as you want, or as complex. And you can set those templates up if you've already got manual information that you're doing, that you're filling out for these different jobs. You can turn it all electronic. So again, it's about not necessarily having paper, but having that information easily for you to find and go back to. So I really like the practice management. Again, we have a calendar which is part of that practice management, so that you can track all the jobs and the tasks and the clients. You can set up a quarter's worth of work at the beginning of the quarter, and then allocate it to your staff member if you do have staff, and you can integrate that calendar with Google and Outlook, and so you can really have a good look at all of what's happening in your office. And so the calendar is of course colour coordinated, so you can see similar jobs and when they're happening. To me, it always makes it easier when it is that colour coordinated. Then we've got time billing, and time billing again is about practice management so that you are reminded to invoice the clients that you have done the work for. I mean, most of us probably, we don't necessarily need reminding, but sometimes we need it to be easy so that it gets done, so that we can have that information that the timesheets are tracked, that they're authorised. So again, if you have many members in your practice, you can have, you know, people who are signing off on different jobs, different clients. You can approve the timesheets for staff so that they then know that it can move on to billing. And again, you have that invoice reports. So it's really useful again to see that status, whether it's approved, whether it's been processed, what's happened with it. Then we get down to the reports. So there's I'm having trouble here. Going back to reports, we've got our staff time detail report, our job time detail, our running time detail report, and that's a running time. So you can have the rate in there that you are going to bill that job out, and again that makes it very simple as you're creating the tasks to say, what do we bill this job out? And again, you may have different levels of what you're going to rate it at, and so you can have those all set up as different tasks within a job. Tiana, is there any questions or anything you want to add at this point?
Well, we have no questions from the floor. I think there's an issue there for Gavin. He can't hear us. But otherwise, there's no questions so far. I think we're pretty good so far. We can batch ahead, and I'll contact Gavin to make sure that he can hear us.
Okay, all right, thank you. So now I want to have a look at the new features that you might not have yet seen, and you might have, you know, looked and said, "No, I think that's something new, but I'll, you know, when I've got time, I will look at it." And of course, we are in a BAS period, and we have had a month of it, and we've only got another month left. So again, I do understand that sometimes this may be not the time for you to look, but to keep this in your mind so that when you do have the time to go back and really examine these different areas and these new features and keep up with the things that are changing, because GovReports is always putting new things into the software, of course, as compliance changes and information from the ATO is available. So we're going to have a look at an engagement letter. We're going to have a look at what their proposal is, and again, as far as I know, that isn't in the software yet. Looking at finalising STP, because we are coming up to that. I mean, we've got a few months yet, but it is something that can be ongoing with your finalising STP. Looking at the ATO Integrated Accounts, looking at how you can update your clients with obviously GovReports, but also into the ATO. Having a look at syncing business information with the ATO client list, looking at notice of assessment and non-lodgement, and having a look at the new individual tax returns. So they're all those new features. They are a lot. So the engagement letter, now all of us, we need our engagement letters to make sure the clients understand where we are and we understand what the client's, expectation is. They understand what they're going to receive from us. And so the engagement letter in GovReports allows you to set up different settings. So, different services that you may want to have in your engagement letter. And it also allows you to have different services, some services that you may do for one client that you don't include for the next client. So you can outline the list of services, obviously update them. And then one of the things that we would have all been updating over the last 18 months, of course, is single touch payroll. Before, we always had payment summaries. So part of our payroll service was to do payment summaries for our client at the end of the year and to do the PSAR, to send in the payment summaries annual report. And of course now that is changing to finalising single touch payroll. So it allows you to not have to sort of, redraft a whole big new letter, just change the bits that you need to. So you click on settings in the software and go to my practice settings, and then you go to new client services. When you do that, it opens up the new client services, and you can then go to that customize button, and you'll see it has all of the different types of things that you may be providing services for clients. Review and record customer and supplier invoices. So again, you might do that transactional level, or you may only do the review, and so you're able to customize that for all your different level of clients that you have. So you add, when you do go to edit and decide to edit, you can add, you can delete, you can edit, you can change the sections, and you change the titles and the items and the services. And you'll see each line has the edit item or delete. So it makes it really easy to just change those small bits that you may need to, not back in the old days where it was a big effort for us to change our engagement letters, and then, to have them all reprinted or retyped, whatever. So you can see that here you can create a section, you can edit the section. And in this instance, we're adding an item, which is prepare and lodge STP reports. So this makes it much easier for you to make sure that we do have engagement letters for our clients, of course, to fit in with the TPB's recommendations. Once you create the engagement letter, you can go to My Clients, select the client name, and then go to the More, where that arrow is, and you'll see there you've got an engagement letter. So once you have the client, you've added them in as a client, you're then able to go and choose your engagement letter that you want to send them. So when you choose engagement letter, you then come up with all of the different sections, and that you're able to pick which section you want. So you provide and click on Save and Proceed. You can use the default templates, or you can create a new template. So if you have a new client that you are doing something different than you've ever done before, then you can create a new section to your engagement letter or a new template and include that in there for them. And you can, of course, copy templates from other clients. Again, if you all of a sudden, perhaps, you specialise in the medical industry, and then you also have clients that are in some sort of other industry, and you can have those two engagement letters that are going to be set up for, particularly for each of those industries. So when it opens and you decide to edit it, you can enter your commencement date, your end date. You can obviously have the agent's name. So again, in a multi-person practice, this is very useful for you to be able to pick the person that is going to be doing the work, or is going to be heading, their account, looking after their account, and then also obviously adding the client's name and their contact details, and the signature panel is going to be available for you to add. Once you have created the letter as it suits you, you can then preview it before you send it. So you've got all that information. Make sure you've got all the right addresses, and everybody's name is spelt correctly. And then you can email it to the client. So you select the recipient, so either you or the client. And what I normally do when I send these sorts of authorizations, I normally send my first one to the client once I'm happy with it, and then I send a copy to myself. Of course, again, you have that information in the software, so you don't necessarily have to do that. And again, if you're trying to be paperless, this sort of information makes, the way this is done makes it so easy to do that. So you can send the authorization, again, personalize the message to them, and it attaches the engagement letter, and you hit send. So again, you can send for an e-signature. So, the client doesn't have to print it off and sign it and then scan it again to send it back to you. They are able to do that digital signature so that you can send it to the client. You'll also see in that section that you're able to put more than one email. So if you have, there's a couple of directors that need to see it, you're able to send that directly to those directors, and you can send it with a security, so where they get a one-time password for them to do it, or with no security again, so whatever suits the level of business between you. And so I think this is a great way. I use this digital signature all the time. It also, again, has that information on when it's been sent. You're able then, if it didn't get signed, or a client said, oh, I didn't receive it, you can send it again without any effort. It is very easy to send a reminder to your client. Obviously, it turns into a PDF in the email. You can place where you want the signature on the document for the client to sign it. They get their one-time password. If you've set up the security, they go in, they can sign it, and it gets sent back to you. And again, you've been paperless, and you have that information. You have that saved in GovReports. So then, and again, Tiana can help me if I don't get this right, but I believe this proposal is almost in the software very, very shortly, if it's not, there just almost immediately. And it is going to, Tiana, you're going to...
Yeah, it's the templates and the services. You can create this proposal straight from your accounts now. I think it was released late last year. However, the tracking process of the proposal will be enabled in a couple of weeks.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. So what this allows you to do, again, is to track proposals that you send to clients, and again, see, do those proposals turn into actual clients and do actual business. And again, it really is really useful for you to be tracing those, so that you can see what's happening in your practice. And it is something, again, that you can set up in GovReports and then allow the system to keep all that information for you. And when they do, when the lead turns into a client, into an active client, when they sign it, then it also will in GovReports turn into a client. And so you can have all their information that you first had when you contacted them, from wherever you got it. You've got your proposal start and end date, your commencement date, all that sort of information is there, and you immediately have it set up as a client. So under the, now we've changed subject totally, single touch payroll. So single touch payroll, as we've all been having fun with, is a new way of doing our payroll. So our end of financial year is changing as far as payroll is concerned. As I mentioned, we don't have to do payment summaries for employees anymore. There are some still issues that people may be doing payment summaries, but in the great majority of employees, we aren't doing payment summaries for them anymore. And so when we aren't doing payment summaries, we don't have to, get a disc. I mean, I know that's a long time ago, but we don't have to get that information and get it to the ATO and hope the ATO can read it. We are not sending that payment summary annual report to the ATO. So with single touch payroll, we still need to tell the ATO that we have finished for the year. And what the ATO have decided is what you will have what is called a final event indicator. Now this can be very helpful in a couple of different ways. This is where you declare that employee's pay is finished for the end of the year, for this financial year. And the advantage is that you can do this during the year if someone leaves. So what you need to do is to do a final event indicator, and you basically need to tick and say, yes, this is the final event, and hit update. It is very simple when the ATO get it all Right. So as I mentioned, if someone leaves during the year, and I don't know why, but people seem to leave in July and August when you've just set them up nice and neatly. So if they cease employment during the year, it's wonderful that you can actually, once you've done all the, your checks and balances that you want to do, you can actually tick the final event there when you do that last pay, and you don't have to think about them anymore. You only have to, when you get to the end of the year, finalise the people who have been there all year. Now also too, we've always had to provide payment summaries to our employees by the 14th of July. But with single touch payroll, we are also needing to tell the ATO by the 14th of July. And so again, if you're able to tick off, half the employees, if you have a company that a lot of people come and go during the year, then it makes it much easier when you get to that final part of the year if you've got half of them already ticked off as final event. And so you do need that final event indicator ticked for all the employees, and you need to finalise that payroll. So if any of you have been using, or if your clients have been using the IM ledger for single touch payroll, which again is a great way for businesses that only have 4 employees and want to get that information, or only have say 6 employees and they want to get that information through to the tax office without buying other software. It is a great way of doing that. So again, with the IM ledger, you still need to have that same final event indicator. So again, it can be done as part of their last pay, and the pay slip can be saved and lodged, and you just need that tick that it is the final event indicator, because when that information gets to the employee, they need it to be final so that they can take it and do their tax. If you have missed ticking that final event indicator as you were doing their last pay, you are always able to do an update event. So if you do have clients that ring up and say, oh, I didn't finish it, what do I do now? You can actually, show them, get them quite easily to go through and do an update event for all of their employees with that final event indicator ticked. So after you select the final indicator and tick the pay slip, click on the Prepare STP to update the lodgement and lodge. It's all done for the year. It's just the first time I did it, I actually went, oh, this is strange. I've never had to sort of do this so stress-free like I have doing this. So I can recommend for your clients the IM Ledger and using GovReports for single touch payroll. Tiana, is there anything that you would like to add at this point? Or?
Yeah, I just for those that are having the GovReports account, all the services that GovReports just went through, Deb just went through, they are included in your account and you will have access to. So part of the service is the digital signature, the practice management, as you know, is all inbuilt into the system, as well as you also have access to the accountant's IAM ledger, where you can see your clients. If they are on IAM or they're not on IAM, you'll be able to still be having access, the limited access. Having said that, if your clients have got IAM subscriptions, you'll be able to manage their accounts from your own accounts. So just to reiterate that, Deb, we don't have any questions at this stage. I think I think we're flying it through.
Yeah, well, if I'm going too fast, everybody please let me know. Yes, if I didn't make that clear, I am sorry. This is all these things that we've shown you as new features are all features that you already have in the software, which is again where my opinion comes from, that sometimes when you have lots of new things, we don't always sort of click onto them straight away. So this is a great way when you do have a bit of time to go back and look at all of the areas of the software that you use and see what else that would make your life easier as you are going through your day-to-day. So now we want to have a look at the ATO online services that we're able to use in conjunction with GovReports, so that you know, we can just show you again the different areas. So the ATO Integrated Accounts, which is just wonderful. Well, that's just my opinion, I guess. The difference is, of course, is that I am a BAS agent, so I only see the integrated client account. If you're a tax agent, you are obviously going to be able to see all accounts, so their tax returns and whatever else is important for that client. So if you are looking for the integrated accounts, you can obviously see it on the dashboard. You can set it up so that it's on your dashboard and you can have that information there. Or you can go to the My Client and then select your client, and then you can, there's a couple of ways to sync that information so that you can see on that screen there, it's got ATO accounts, and you can synchronize accounts there, and it will bring that information in, and it's a really great way to get that integrated account. And so you can very easily then, you know, send that information to the client if they aren't aware, or if they've got a payment plan, and you can say, look, this is where you need to make sure you keep going on this, or again encouraging them to actually pay their outstanding amounts. So you can also go to the Accounts tab on the top toolbar and go to those services as well there. In the case of the account types available for the business client, so as I said, you can see income tax accounts. So in this one, they are income tax accounts and the integrated client account. I, as a BAS agent, wouldn't see that on mine. I'm only going to see the integrated client account. But you just click on the view to actually look at the details. And once you click on those details, you'll see this is the income tax one that's open. You can export that to Excel. You can export that to PDF. So again, if you need to, you know, you're sending information to your client and you want to send that to them, say, look, this is what you need to be aware of. And as I mentioned, as you're the tax agent, you're going to see all these different ones, the help, the superannuation, income tax, integrated client. As a BAS agent, as I said, I'm only going to see the integrated client account. So this is what the integrated client account looks like here. And again, you can export that to a PDF or out to Excel if there's things that you want to do with it. Also, we can update our client, which is really very useful, saves you making phone calls and, you know, trying to get through to the ATO. You are able to provide and maintain relationships and keep the ATO fully informed. So when you go into My Clients, you will see along that top toolbar there is ATO Services, and these are the type of things that you will see. Again, if depending on whether you're a BAS agent or a tax agent, some of these I think may not be. I have a feeling there's a couple there that I don't get to see. Might because I'm a single practice. So you can maintain your authorizations. You can allow registered agents to add client-agent relationships, so all those different types of things, your authorised contacts, your associate, that sort of information. So as I mentioned, for tax agents, they get full access, including the tax returns, activity statements, payroll, and this perhaps is one thing that I will say that again, as a tax agent, you get everything, but it would be, you know, and it is a thing that BAS agents always have. Please don't kick me off. It is also for us so that we can get custom access. But of course, if you've got people in your practice, you've got a BAS agent in your practice, you are able just to give them custom access so they can only see activity statements and payroll account. So if there is an existing agent already on the account, a checkbox with a tick appears under Other Agent link. So again, if there is a BAS agent already in there, already attached to the account, you'll see that against your integrated client account. If there isn't, it's not linked. So it just is very easy to see if you already do have a BAS agent on there. You can modify the client's details, so their bank, their business, their address. You go into, again, that ATO Services along the top toolbar, picking the client, going to client address. The system contacts the ATO, fetches the information that is already on there, and fills that information on this screen. Now, the advantage of that is if you do have a change of address for your clients, you can see what the ATO has already got. And if it's, if for some reason it's already updated, then of course you don't have to worry about it. But if you know that they've got a new address, you're able immediately to expand this and then edit it and put in the correct information. So when you hit expand, you then get the details with the client, and so you get that edit button and you're able to go in and change those details. So the types of things that you can change with the client update: postal address, residential address, telephone information, facsimile details if people are still using fax numbers, email addresses, electronic service addresses, of course, which is for your superannuation, for the super funds, and internet addresses if that information needs to change. So you're able to update that all through the ATO Services. So when you click on the information to actually change it, this is what the screen comes up with, the information that they've already got, and then you've got the option to change it. Now, you can, of course, do that manually. You're absolutely able to do that manually, but you'll see the two blue boxes that are there on the screen that says fill my practice details and fill client details. So if you have already changed the client's information on your GovReports account, then you're able to just click fill client's details, and that will bring that information that you've already put into your GovReports and update it there. And the same with your practice details. So you're able, if you've got all your practice details in the GovReports software, you're able to click on fill my practice details, and then that will bring all that information in. Again, this is all about saving you time, saving you keystrokes, things that you don't have to keep typing in because it takes us time, and it's so much easier to press that button and pick the right address. And of course, as I said, you can do it manually if you would prefer. Another one of the ATO services that you have is associate, and this is about the client's associates. Do they have relationships that you need to include on their information? And so it'll provide the ability to view a range of client relationships at the client level and associated ABNs and TFNs, whatever is appropriate. So again, in the system, the associates are stored as a link between the two parties. The information shows the type of relationship and duration, if there's a start and an end date. And, so for example, the most obvious one is the company and its directors. But also too, if there is grouping for income tax or for GST grouping. So that's really important to have that information there. And again, the system, when you open it up first, it will fetch what the ATO already has. And so then you're able to add any relationships if you have that information that as yet the ATO didn't have because of grouping or something like that. And we have authorised contacts, again, as part of the ATO services. So if you want to be able to change a client's authorised contact, update that information, then you're able to do that with your relevant authorisation. The primary contact details will only be displayed if the agent is authorised for all accounts. So for example, if I was the BAS agent and you're the tax agent, As a tax agent, it's not going to show your information because you're the primary in. Am I right? You just said it the right way around then? Yeah, it's only displayed if you're authorised for all accounts. So as a tax agent, it's going to put you there. As a BAS agent, it's not going to show me other than the fact that I am linked. So you can go into edit and then add or change that information. So again, click on edit, fill my practice details. Again, it has that same button, the pre-fill the client's details or pre-fill my practice details, so that you, again, saving keystrokes, saving time, which is really, you know, if you've got 10 or 15 people, clients to do this for, it can be quite tedious and I guess easy also to make that keystroke mistake when you're typing your name and address. And it seems to always be on your own that you make the mistake, I think. You're also able to sync information from the ATO. Now, this is great if we take the idea that we have the proposal, the client has agreed, the client has, you know, the lead has agreed, they've become a client, they're now in our clients list. And if we want to make sure we've got all the right information from the client to be able to synchronise it from the ATO, so you know that you've got the right TFN, you know that you've got the right ACN, you know that you've got the right ABN. It's really great for that information to come down. So as long as you've got the right business name, then you will be able to sync that information from the ATO and update the details in your system. So again, this is where, you know, if you want to bring down your clients, it's one way of checking that you've got that correct information, that the client hasn't given you the wrong ABN by one number.
The other thing I want to add to that, too, Deborah, is that for those who are new to the system or new to GovReports, when you when you import the client list from the ATO, from the My Clients, it only brings across the ABN and the client's business name, but not so much the client's personal information like the contact details, the address, and so forth. So once you import the client list, you can come to these sections, sync with the ATO, and it will bring across all the client's contact details. So without you having to individually, try to data entry their address and their contact details, etc. It saves you a bit of time, but for some of the forms in GovReports and to the ATO, it requires for you to have these details in order for you to lodge to the ATO. For example, the SDP, the taxable payment annual report, it requires the client's address to be on the form.
Thanks, Tiana, and it really does. I mean, being able to do your whole list of your clients is a huge amount of information that you're saving having to type in to the system. To me, it's a huge saving. It's something that I definitely am using. So the system, as I mentioned before, it actually goes out to the ATO and fetches that information, and then you click on update and it will bring that information into GovReports, as Tiana said. And we have the notice of assessment. Now again, this is only for tax agents, not for BAS agents, because of course it is generally about income tax. So the notice of assessment can be printed and reviewed for your GovReports. So you select a client, you go to the ATO Services and you select a notice of assessment. Now it will show you the past 4 years, which can be a 2 or a 4 year period, and show you what has been submitted. So again, if this is a new client, it's very useful to have this information, so that, once upon a time we used to get that information from the previous accountant, and there might be a period of waiting for that information. This of course saves you that time, that you can actually get that information straight away and have a look at all of those details and see what's been done previously. And again, you can print that for the client. If the client doesn't need to lodge, they've retired or, for whatever reason they don't need to lodge anymore, then there is also a non-lodgement advice under the ATO Services, which is very handy. Again, makes it much simpler if you can just notify the ATO that they don't have to lodge. So again, under the ATO Services, you then would declare that, what financial year that they don't need to lodge. Now, again, is it 1 year or is it going to be ongoing? Is it just this particular year? Maybe they were out of the country, or I don't know, whatever they were doing. As again, I'm not a tax agent, so I don't know why they might not have to lodge other than being retired, I guess. So again, you pick the financial year that they don't need to lodge, and of course there is a declaration that you submit. Now, if the client has no obligation to lodge more than 1 year, again, there is a little tick box there that you are able to tick. And so you have the forms, again, the trust tax, is that what that says? Select a client, go to the forms, select the required form that they don't have to lodge. So again, if it's TPAR, I don't know, Tiana, does it work for TPAR as well?
TPAR is not yet available from the ATO side, so we'll be continue to chase up with the ATO on that, but currently this is not an option in GovReports or anywhere else. I think the only way that for you to advise the ATO that there is new contractors during the financial year is to do it by paper or just download the form and send it to the ATO.
Right. So, but you can do it for company tax returns, fringe benefit returns, all of those ones on the screen, that all those forms, you can do it for all of those?
That's correct.
Cool, thank you. So yes, you select the required year, or you select the, if it, for many years, then again you can go and do that. So that's for 1 year, and then the subsequent year you may do it for all of those years, so that they don't need to do the trust, this company doesn't need to do the trust tax return from 2013 onwards. So you're able to set all of the years, and again it saves you time, because you don't have to remember every year to go back in there and say, oh, there's a non-lodgement advice for this company. Just makes it easier. Again, it just saves keystrokes, and it saves, you having to have that as be one of your tasks, that every year go in and check this person that they don't have to do a form, a lodgement, I would say. And this is the new look of the income tax return. Again, I don't know what it used to look like other than getting my own tax return. So, but my understanding is that what they have done is they have put a lot more information on the form in the one place. So again, there's multiple tabs, and each tab can open as a pop-up window for you to submit it. And so that's the sort of pop-up window. There it is for capital gains, that it shows you, and you can obviously fill it in as is appropriate. The new individual tax return form, that all of the components are displayed on a single page, and the corresponding components load when the page is scrolled. So as you scroll down, you will see more things that are appropriate that need to be completed on that individual's tax return form. So, and there we have, again, you scroll down, of course, and at the bottom there is going to be all of the details and then your authorities and authorisation. Now, also my understanding, and Tiana can again confirm whether I'm correct or not, but there are still things going to come into GovReports. So it is absolutely a great idea to every now and then look around the software and see the different things that you may find that are useful for your business, depending on what you're doing. So there's going to be auto reminders, emails to client, that is still coming into the software, and automatic lodgement receipt details to the client after lodgement. So there is always new things happening. Tiana, is there anything else that you would like to add to that upcoming?
I think these are coming a lot closer to you. I will be sending out emails as when they are released released into productions, and perhaps in a couple of weeks. It's, like I said, probably shorter than I would imagine, but it's definitely on its way. A few other things, but I think we'll, rather than, mentioning it, and then we'll be in trouble with the boys because they are not able to keep up. So we'll let you know as they come to hand.
So on that note, thank you very much for being here. I hope that has given you a reminder of all the things you have got to use in the software, and maybe some new things that you didn't know was there. Tiana, what else? Is there anything else to say today?
I'm not too sure. I think you cover quite a fair bit there, Deb. We do have a question from Australia. I'm a tax agent. There is no notice of assessment or non-lodgement advice under the ATO Services. Is this still coming? Sandeep, has it been released? I believe it has.
Not at it's the final stage of whitelisting with ATO. We are currently working with ATO to enable the services which will be available.
Okay, I didn't hear that very well, but I can reconfirm. We are in the final testing, Australia. It's we are about to release. Just got held back by the ATO, just getting approval, but from the ATO before we actually release in productions. So you probably within a week or so, you'll probably be expected to see it there.
All right. Well, thank you both for answering that, because I didn't know the answer. So the only other thing I'll say, Tiana, is that there is the GovReports Help Centre that you can go and look at the user guide, and I do use it. There's also, is that where they can find the webinars?
No. So for everything that we release into, anything new that we release into GovReports, we do have a habit now. We do have a process now that anything that we release, we also put into the help center. So if you're not too sure, you've seen something that's, you didn't see before, either give us a call, send us an email, or go into the help center and find out, because we definitely have, for everything that we release now, there is a process in place. A process in place, and the help guide to assist you with those features. The webinars, however, on the webinar will be posted on the website. It's outside of GovReports. So if you go into govreports.com.au/webinar, where you register for your webinars, or look at the past webinars, you find the list of all the webinars, upcoming webinars, as well as the recording of those past webinars that we have hosted.
Thank you. So I don't think there's anything else to say, is there, Tiana?
It seems like we have covered all the questions so far. For those who wants to know more about specifically on the tax agent side, or the tax agent's process, the digital signature, or the office practice manager, or the single touch payroll, we do have upcoming webinars specifically for those areas, and we go into details. You can register for those webinars from the website if you wish. We did send out an email. If you haven't seen it, you can go to the website and register for those ones, and we will be covering specifically in those areas and get more into details of the process and how you can use these features. Otherwise, reach out to us and let us know. Well, that looks like that's all. That's pretty much it. Thank you all, and enjoy the rest of the night.
Thanks very much, everybody, and thank you, Tiana.
Okay, bye for now.
Bye. Now, let me see.